Hi, welcome to the Get Ready with God podcast. My name is Julie Taylor and I am your host, and I am not God. Obviously, I'm not an expert. I'm not even a scriptorian. I'm literally just a girl sitting in front of a microphone, hoping God is real. The Get Ready with God podcast is the daily devotional podcast to help you see divinity in every day. And something that I would like to remind everyone of today, if you are feeling down on yourself in any way, if you are feeling like, man, I've been making a lot of mistakes lately, I've been screwing up, I'm not good enough, I just would like to remind you that cocaine is an option and we're not choosing it. Okay? Cocaine is an option and we're not choosing it. And that is something that I don't think we get enough credit for. And also, if you are choosing cocaine, I'd like to remind you that there's always a path through that. There's always hope and healing and help. Okay? So, some things to consider today, some things to remember, important reminders. Now that we've gotten that business out of the way, I do want to say that this episode is going to be cheesy. So, brace yourself, prepare yourself accordingly. Anyways, this week I have just been feeling like not sorry for myself, but a little bit sorry for myself in that I think I just feel like nobody knows. Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. I find myself often wishing that there was someone who could just say, you want this? Great. I have it, and here's the path to get it. That doesn't exist for anyone. We're all living a little bit differently than the people before us lived. We're paving a new path. We're trying new things. And with that comes a lot of creativity, which is cool, and a lot of innovation, which is cool, but it also makes it so that there's not a lot of people to look to exactly. So we can like gather inspiration and wisdom and guidance from people, but there's not necessarily like really paved paths for like, here's the path to this. There's more paths because people are living differently and creating new ones. And that's really cool and exciting. And it can also be really scary and lonely and isolating. And I have just been feeling, I think, the loneliness of, man, is there anyone out there who shares my circumstances and my values and my goals, who can tell me how to live a life that prioritizes the right things and makes it possible for me to do all of those things? I just wish there was someone who I could relate to a little bit more. And I'm not so special. We all feel this way, but I just felt really alone this week and just kind of letting myself wallow in my own self-pity of like, man, nobody gets it. And I just wish there was someone who got it. And nobody really knows, including me. I don't really know what's next or what I want or what I need. And I just wish that somebody did. And I wish somebody could just tell me how to do it. And not even tell me how to do it. I just wish that I could see somebody do it so I could like pattern myself after them or whatever. So drowning in self-pity all week. And then this morning I was doing one of my kids' hair and this thought just popped into my head of God gets it. God knows how you feel. You're not alone because God gets it. I resisted that thought because I just feel like, okay, what does that mean? God gets it. Okay, well, is God here? Is God living a human life who can tell me what to do next and how it feels? And so I get a little bit like resistant and flippant to it, but I feel like it was like a divinely placed thought because it's not like one that would just naturally pop in for me. And the timing was really random. I wasn't even sitting there thinking like, I need solutions right now. This is just something I've been feeling all week. And it popped into my head this morning and it feels a little cheesy and it feels a little unhelpful of like, well, God knows how you feel. But as I've thought about it all day long, the way that I feel like I'm going to apply it to my life is one, I'm going to try to take comfort. I'm going to try to not resist that thought. I'm going to try to accept that thought. And if it were true that God does know how I feel, first, if it were true that God exists, second, if it's true that God knows how I feel, then what if that's how I engage with divinity? What if I engage with a baseline of like, you get me, you know me, you love me, you understand where I'm coming from, you understand what I'm dealing with. And if that's the baseline of understanding, how does that change the relationship? How does that change how you communicate with God? For me, it changes it quite a bit. It changes it from being in a place of questioning and putting God on trial. You know, it's the difference between talking to a friend who gets you and talking to a friend who doesn't. And I think we all know that feeling of when you're in a safe space with a friend who knows you, assumes the best of you, understands what your priorities and values are, like who really loves you and gets you. When you talk to someone like that, you feel free to be yourself. You feel free to be honest. You feel free to be vulnerable and say, well, here's what actually is scaring me right now. Here's what I'm worried about. Here's what's actually hard. And that honesty and vulnerability is what actually builds the connection and guides you to productive solutions that are aligned with your values versus when you talk to someone that you don't think really knows you or is aligned with you or loves you and who you don't trust, you usually stay really closed off and you're not fully honest or open. I don't think that you're like dishonest, but you're not going to like fully divulge where we're at right now. There's certain people when they ask me what I'm up to, I give a very different answer than when others ask me. So if we engage with divinity from a place of trust and believing that they know how we feel and that they're assuming the best in us and that it's a safe, trusted place, I just think that our communications would be different. And I think the relationship would be different. That's how I've kind of digested it today, is I want to engage in the relationship from that baseline assumption of God knows me and loves me and understands my actual circumstances, like in a really logistical way of, if that's true, then I'm going to talk to God about how to get through my next meeting. I'm going to talk to God about how to get through the evening. I'm going to talk to God about the logistics of the day. I'm going to talk to God about all of these little things because I'm assuming that he gets it. And that assumption changes your relationship and your communication with God. Love you so much. Bye.